The world is facing a profound waste crisis. Landfills are overflowing, methane emissions are dangerously accelerating climate change, and each year 11 million tons of plastic enter the world's oceans. Solving this problem means solving waste management on land, especially in emerging economies where over 2 billion people have zero access to waste collection and recycling services. Delterra's flagship initiative, Rethinking Recycling, is taking on this challenge, and I am here to share the lessons that we have learned through building recycling ecosystems in Indonesia and Argentina from the ground up. But before I dive into our conversation, a little bit about Delterra. As the name suggests, we are here to drive change for the planet. We are an environmental nonprofit with McKinsey & Company as our founding partner, and we are on a mission to create a world where human activities protect and restore a healthy planet, starting with fixing broken waste management and recycling systems. Over the last 3 years, we have achieved up to 70% recycling participation rates in the communities where we work. That's higher than most US cities. We have improved the livelihoods of more than 450 waste workers, many of them women, and we are on track to bring recycling services to over 250,000 people by 2022. Having created this sort of scaled, on-the-ground impact, we have learned a few lessons that we would like to share in the hope of furthering the efforts of others too. We also have a number of asks for retail and CPG companies to help us improve how much waste we are able to recover into productive use. Lesson number 1. Recycling must become more local. A weak point for many recycling programs around the world is an over-reliance on shipping recyclables or recycled materials to other countries. We've all heard about the travesty of waste being shipped around the world to be recycled elsewhere. But even countries that do not export their waste often have inadequate local demand to absorb recycled material back into the local manufacturing economy. In Indonesia, for example, it is still more profitable to ship recycled PET out of the country to higher-paying markets in Europe than to sell it locally. This is not a good solution for the environment or for the local manufacturing economy. We believe recycling must become more local by developing the full recycling value chain in local markets. This means developing collaborative and locally adaptable solutions for both supply and demand-side challenges, including local markets that reliably absorb the recycled material at a fair price. This is why we designed Rethinking Recycling to address both the supply and demand side of the equation in each country where we work. For example, in Indonesia, on the supply side, we have launched the Rethinking Recycling Academy, a hybrid initiative of capability building on the ground, implementation support, and upfront capital access. This enables us to set up financially stable community-owned waste management systems in whole cohorts of villages at once. And on the demand side, we work with Praise, a consortium whose founding members include Coca-Cola, Nestle, Danone, Tetra Pak, Unilever, and Indofoods, to solve challenges they face, like transparent ethical sourcing, that will allow them to reliably absorb the recycled material locally. Lesson 2. Real recycling is profitable recycling. Just because something is technically recyclable does not mean it will be actually recycled. The economics need to work for everyone involved in the recycling value chain, from those who collect, sort, or aggregate, to those who transport or process recyclables into raw material for the next use. If we are serious about addressing the waste crisis, we need to make recycling of most materials profitable. Material that cannot be recycled profitably must be ideally designed out of the system wherever possible. And where that can't be done, we need to ensure that the full waste stream has a higher share of valuable materials that can help cross-subsidize the cost of sorting. We at Rethinking Recycling play our part in making recycling profitable by helping set up waste management systems that are financially self-sustaining and sort all materials from plastics to organics. We achieve this by improving waste collection coverage, driving in-home separation behavior change in communities, optimizing MRF operations, and upskilling waste workers. The result? Our program in Indonesia took less than 4 months to turn a loss-making material recovery facility into a profitable community-owned waste management business, while delivering up to 200% increase in workers' wages. But this only works if the materials have a value in the local market. Lesson number 3. Lasting recycling ecosystems are inclusive and collaborative. At Delterra, we believe that systems that endure are the systems that are inclusive and collaborative. We bring this thinking to life by empowering and upskilling waste workers and creating tailored recycling operations based on local communities' needs and behaviors. Despite the push towards automation, manual sorting is an indispensable aspect of recycling in emerging economies. Yet investing into upskilling the workers is almost never thought about. In our on-the-ground operations, we learned that team building and motivational training for the waste workers visibly improved the profits of the sorting centers. They started better maintaining equipment, which in turn reduced repair costs. They began taking real pride in the work, which improved productivity. And they helped us to recruit additional workers who were surprisingly hard to come by. I would like to pause here to play a clip of one of our Argentina waste workers that elaborates my point and shows how meaningful programs can change lives.
Hola, mi nombre es Marilina González, trabajo en la cooperativa Banderas Unidas hace 9 años y venimos trabajando con ATR casi 3 años. Venimos con los vecinos, conjunto con los compañeros, difundiendo el ATR para que podamos reciclar todo el barrio completo y de a poco estamos llegando a la meta. Es también bueno que ellos sepan que nosotros estamos dándole siempre importancia a aquel vecino que recicla. Así es que es así. Y a lo que no reciclan, a convencerle a que recicle. El proceso con la Secretaría y con la empresa McKinsey fue algo realmente motivadora, porque nos motivó a nosotros a llegar a otro punto que queremos nosotros de lo del barrio. ATR, porque ATR te enseñó a tocar puertas, a mirar la cara, a explicarle con miedo, porque sí al principio fue miedo. Hoy en día para nosotros es un orgullo hablar al vecino porque ya sabes de qué estás hablando. Es un tema que para nosotros ya sabemos, conocemos, ya estamos hablando de algo que sabemos. Y un reciclado es importante para el mundo entero y para nosotros más porque somos muchísimos habitantes acá. Y se reían de mí, pero hoy en día ya me ayudan a reciclar ellos. Juntan la cervecita que tomo, la gaseosita o así y empiezan a juntar también conmigo. Y hoy en día realmente a mí, sinceramente, me enorgullece totalmente ver que mi barrio está reciclando. Sí tenemos la herramienta, la voluntad y sí la compañía de ATR. Entonces eso nos da la herramienta para poder salir y a difundir afuera, para poder dar más posibilidad a otra gente del barrio, de otros barrios, y convencer al vecino y que sea para ellos un experimento, para nosotros ya es un logro. Así es que ATR, vamos por más.
To my second point about creating tailored recycling operations based on local communities' needs and behaviors, on-the-ground recycling operations need to adapt to the local context and culture, and not the other way around. For instance, in Bali, to accommodate the need for communities to get rid of organic waste due to the tropical climate, we collect organic waste every second day. In Barrio Mujica, an informal settlement in Buenos Aires, we provided hooks and recycling kits for people to be able to hang their waste outside their homes. And this was because people did not have enough space in their houses to keep bins, and the hooks helped to keep the waste out of reach of stray dogs. In Oliveria, Argentina, a city that prides itself on being modern and clean, our messaging was tailored to focusing on recycling as being essential to the modernization of the city, and not so much on being green. These are some of the many ways we empower local stakeholders to shape and own the solutions they will be living with. Now moving on to what CPG and retail companies can do to make recycling easier in places like Indonesia and Argentina. Design products that can be locally recycled. This includes simplifying packaging, using materials that have high recycling value locally where possible, and making it easier for consumers to tell what is recyclable versus not. Demystifying recycling for people is still a huge challenge all over the world. Second, invest in infrastructure to support recycling. 2 billion people live in communities with no waste collection services at all, let alone recycling. Massive investment is needed to change this reality. Obviously, CPG and retail companies cannot build all of this infrastructure, but demonstration projects also won't cut it, nor will programs that skim only the most valuable waste from the system. We need more emphasis on full system solutions and scaling what works. Make sure that programs you invest in are designed with an eye to scale, and don't stop investing just because a small proof of concept worked. Next, continue to deliver and progress further on your commitments. We encourage your organizations to continue on the commitments you have made to incorporate post-consumer recycled content and build accountability. There is always more that can be done within your supply chains and with new partners. And finally, support pro-recycling standards. Global brands can really help the most vulnerable, informal workers in recycling by pushing for ethical standards that ensure good, safe working conditions and fair wages. In conclusion, I would like to say that this is a crucial time where urgent and collaborative action to manage our waste crisis is essential. At Delterra, we plan to play our part by bringing recycling to more than 10 million people by 2025 and diverting more than 1 million tons of waste per year back into productive use. We hope that partners like you will join us to build sustainable communities and change lives. Thank you.